Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Kingdom Business Show. I'm your host, Torius.
Wait. I know you're not trying to have an episode without me.
Well, I mean,
really?
No, I wasn't. Anyways, hey everyone, this is my beautiful wife,
Nova Scott,
also known as my Jamaican sensation. And so we're excited to do this episode of the Kingdom Business Show.
And I mean, all the episodes in the past have been so phenomenal.
They have.
I mean, it's been awesome.
We've had so many people that have been texting, tweeting, Facebook messaging, and saying, man, we love the show thus far. So this is what we're going to do for this episode. We're going to take a look back at all of our episodes that we've had thus far and pull out some nuggets. So the very first episode will be Jeff Osborne. And so listen, come inside as we go into this episode of Kingdom Business.
Let's go. Okay. I'm a conqueror. We gonna do something a little different this time. Let's go. I abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That means all haters and evildoers can't see me. Casting out all the demons in the industry. Spiritual assassin, target X, Y, and Z. See, I'm made from a God who's more than enough. Carries the weight of the world, yeah, my God is buff. Even when life and reality, they get so rough. I'm cut from iron claw, man, I'm tough. I'm in the CIA, in Christ I abide. The FBI, a faith-bred individual. I got my credentials, very influential. That's why I can say I'm a conqueror. I'm a conqueror. I'm a conqueror. I'm a conqueror.
Come on. So you talked about your glory, you talked about your glory, we talked about vision, we talked about purpose. What are some things that people need to understand when it comes down to fulfilling their God-given purpose, regardless of what they're going through, regardless of what they see around them? What are some steps that a person could take from our conversation today and say, hey listen, I want to know my purpose, I want to know my calling, I want to know my vision. How does a person start?
Number one, you got to be, certain books call it stickability. But for me, I realized that there was no plan B. I had no plan B.
There it is.
So people always ask me, well, Jeff, what happened if your plan A didn't work out? I told them I rewrote plan A. So there was no plan B for me. If this is what God told me I was going to do, I was going to do it. And I didn't care what anybody said. I had everybody call me crazy. They said what they wanted to say. And so as a result, I chose to still be who God called me to be, even when other people weren't. And so I made a decision. And when I made a decision to go and empower the world, I stuck to it. I didn't care what people told me. I didn't care what they said. And so even when I was in my prison cell, they gave me 16 to life, and they told me I would never get out. I chose to empower people in there, so much so that I truly believe that when you are being who God called you to be, He'll bend the rules, He'll break the bars and do it.
That's right.
And so 10 months into my 16 to life sentence, they asked me to go back up to court, and I go back up to court, and the judge says, upon reviewing your letter, I got a letter on my behalf to you from the assistant warden of Chino State Prison. Never saw the man, never met him, never shook his hand. He said it's a good guy who hit a bump in the road and let him go.
Wow.
So as a result of me choosing to be who God called me to be and not moving and not wavering, God opened those doors, and now I'm traveling the world dealing with NFL teams and things like that. But when you look at the whole 9 yards and you look at the whole grand scheme of things, there is no plan B. That's number one. Number two, surround yourself with people, not perfect people, but purpose people.
Yes.
Not perfect people, but purpose people. People who are driven by a purpose in life, and they're not going to allow anything to detract them and detour them from that vision. And then number three, let God do what He does. We're not God. Last time I checked, I didn't create this earth. And so if I always say this, that if God used His words to create this earth, what are we creating without?
Wow, what an amazing episode.
Awesome. Like
this episode, this episode holds dear to our hearts because it's the very first one. But Jeff would always tell me, he said, man, people keep on hitting me up because of the show. Well, rightfully so, because we had so many golden nuggets throughout the entire time that we had together. And so, we just stopped on the part where he's talking about purpose and, talking about destiny and everything. And I think that is very important for a person to find their purpose.
And so how does one find their purpose? And we've gotten so many questions through the internet, of people wanting to know, how do I locate my purpose?
How do you locate your purpose?
Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, we all understand, based off of the late, great Dr. Miles Monroe, he said, if you don't find your purpose, abuse is inevitable. And so each person has to realize what they're called to do and what they were created for. So the very first thing that you have to do, number one, is ask the Creator. If I created something and you don't know what it is, it's best to ask me, who created the thing, to define what it is that this thing is supposed to do. So you gotta ask God. Ask God, God, what did you create me for? Number two, I've heard that many things that infuriate you probably is linked to your purpose. That fire on the inside of you when you see an injustice, or when you see someone doing something wrong to someone else, or if you see something that's out of place, maybe that's connected to your purpose. And then number three, the things that encourage you, the things that you just love to do. So if you're a writer and you like writing blogs, or if you like sending little birthday cards and doing little gift things, that's probably connected to your purpose as well.
And also, I was thinking, because some of the things I like to, I'm a very creative person, and like I like to create stuff. So I make gift baskets sometimes, you know, and so sometimes we have to tap into even the small things that we discount and start creating something. You could start a business, you know? Absolutely,
and that's created and that's connected to your purpose. And so finding your purpose is essential. So number one, ask the Creator. Number two, what makes you mad? What ticks you off? Then number three, what encourages you to do? Those are a few ways just to start to find out what it was that you were created to do. So, you know, that was a great episode. So let's look at another episode, episode number 2.
Yeah, with Rhonda Shartino.
But if you would turn your ideas into vision, vision requires purpose, vision requires a process, vision requires people, and vision requires just a procedure in the way that you get it out of you. And so it's acting, it's action that gets that idea and turns it into a vision. So
so when God says, you know, He gives us the power to get wealth, or the ability to create wealth or whatever, there's a verb in there. You know, there's action, there's getting up. So yeah, pray, listen, act, and then repeat. Repeat it. You know, because we get to a certain point, it's like, oh, okay, well, now what? Well, guess what? Pray again. You know, step and our whole lives can be done that way.
Man, Rhonda Shartino is such an amazing powerhouse.
Awesome.
That episode really blessed me. You know, she's such a blessing to the whole body of Christ. But I remember when I met Rhonda last year. I mean, we ended up meeting about something. We were supposed to meet about business or something. We ended up talking about the Lord. We ended up telling each other's testimonies, all that stuff. But what I really appreciate about her, those of you who watched the episode, know that she was actually abandoned at a young age, a very young age. And she ended up in a home with a person that was mentally disabled, as well as one who had an addiction. And so there was a lot of abuse that happened in that home. And she would tell me about how, you know, she would go weeks upon weeks on end, maybe wearing the same clothes, the same shoes, and just really not taking a shower because they were homeless at times. And, you know, just think about all of the humiliation that happened during that time, especially being a young kid at school, you know? And so just imagine all the bullying that happens now, imagine back then. And so for her to go through all of those things, it come out on the other side successfully, it really only points to the glory, the favor, and the mercy of God. And so as we saw, she said that there's a process that you have to go through in order really to do the thing that God has called you to do. Number one is to pray. The second thing is to listen. You got to act, and then after that, you got to do it again. You got to do it again. You got to repeat. And so whenever we talk about prayer, babe, tell us a little bit about how should a person pray whenever they're seeking God? What does that prayer time look like?
Well, prayer to me, it's really simple. It doesn't have to be deep and philosophical. King James Version prayer is like the these and the thuses, you know? We just come to God and we talk to Him simply like how you talk to your best friend, your spouse, or your kids, you know? Just talk to Him in a simple way.
Absolutely. And whenever you're praying, the Bible tells us that prayer should be an essential part of all of our lives. Prayer is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. What do you mean by that? It's not just a one way and then I just go about my day. No, God wants to speak back to us. And that's why it's so essential for us to listen, what she talked about. So whenever I'm at a seminar, I'm at church, or I'm at a business meeting, anyone that's of great caliber that's performing, guess what? I'm taking notes because I don't want to miss anything that this person says. And so it's the same thing with God. How much more the creator of the universe, the King of Kings, the Lord, you got to listen because He's going to give you a nugget. He's going to give you a direction that will far supersede anything anything a book or a mogul or any type of guru could ever tell you. So listening with a pad, and then act. You got to act on it.
Do something about it.
You got to do something about it, because the Bible tells us, look, don't be hearers of the word, be doers of the word.
And then I like to interject. I remember growing up, my mom, right? I remember one day we get disciplined. She, if you didn't do it right away, you get a little discipline, and she'd be like, instant obedience, instant obedience. And so I think it's very important too that once you listen and you act instantly. Absolutely. You don't wait, you don't drag your feet, but you do it because there are blessings and there are different things attached to our instant obedience.
Absolutely. And we always tell delayed obedience is disobedience. Because if you don't obey the first time, a ripple effect will actually happen, because your act of obedience may open the door for someone else to be able to be in their position. And so, gotta act obediently, and you gotta act immediately so that God can get the most out of your life. And then after that, she said, repeat it. You gotta repeat it. Do it again. Our life is a consistent step, consistent walk. It's not just a step and then I'm there. No, we're going on this journey with God. And so I think that we appreciate Rhonda for that, for those great nuggets. So pray, listen, act, repeat. And so the next episode that we're going to look at is going to be a dynamic one. So take a look at what we're going to show you here on the screen. Wow, wow. There's a story that I heard about one of your workers and how you impacted his life, the faith that you all have in Jesus Christ and how it has impacted his life. And so tell us about that story.
Okay, you're talking about Johnny. He's a Vietnamese born, came here as a refugee, and he had worked for us since we started the company. So he's been here a long time. A few years ago, he came with a very bad report from the doctor that he had lung cancer. He had growths in his lungs the size of a golf ball. And they didn't give him a good prognosis, maybe about 6 months to live or so. So I said, okay, Johnny, and he was a smoker. Incidentally, he's a Buddhist. And so I had to figure out, I went before the Lord and said, well, first of all, even before I went before the Lord, what scripture do I use? And I studied to see what it is, and then I came upon how God blessed Abraham and his household. About 8 to 10 people left with Abraham, and then before you know it, later on in Genesis, right? He's got the household is so big, it's like an army. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So everything, even his cattle prospered. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I used, that principle, and I went before the Lord and said, Lord, this man is of my household. He's one of my employees, and just as you prospered Abraham and his household, I need you to heal him. Wow. And so he went through 12 months of chemotherapy, and I encouraged him, and Johnny wanted to quit because he couldn't work, and I wouldn't let him quit because he was going into depression. So I said, no, I need you to come in whenever the doctor allows you to come in. And I encouraged him, asked him to eat well, rest well, exercise, all that. So towards November, he took his last chemotherapy, and he called me and said, you know what, there are 5 of us who were taking chemotherapy together, and 4 out of the 5 now have died. I'm the only one left. And he didn't sound very encouraged. So I said, Johnny, you are going to make it through. And you're going to make it through because my God is going to heal you, is healing you right now. Okay? And I said, it's too bad. I feel sad for the 4 people that passed away, but you're going to make it. Yeah. And be sure to glorify this Jesus Christ, the one who heals you. Okay? And so finally he went in December for his CAT scan, and He came here, he was beaming from year to year, and he said, doctor said they can't even find a trace.
Wow.
All they found in his lung was like burn marks where the tumors used to be.
Wow.
And he said, doctors said something about miracle, because this is not in its vernacular.
Wow.
So I told him, Johnny, it wasn't Buddha who healed you, it was my God who healed you.
Jesus Christ.
Amen.
That is awesome. Jesus is a healing God. Another great episode.
Awesome.
Now, meeting with the Guni Wardinas at their Mil-Spec Magnetics offices was an absolute privilege. This family is phenomenal. When I tell you they're phenomenal on screen and off screen, they are phenomenal. You know, the part that we just stopped at was he was talking about excellence. And he was talking about the vision that a person has individually as well as corporately, and how that meshes well together, because many people think that whenever I'm a part of a vision, I have to forsake my own. And that's not the case. Your vision should fit inside of whatever vision that you're a part of, whether you're a part of a church, whether you're a part of a business, whether you're a part of a corporation. Your vision and the things that you bring to the table should be a part of that vision.
Yeah. And also to operate in an excellent manner. And so you bring your best, bring your A game to whatever the company is, whatever the business is, whatever you're taking part of, you bring your excellence. Whether and what are some nuggets on excellence like that you?
Well, I mean, if you think about the things that we out order our lives after as far as excellence goes, you know, it's going above and beyond the call of duty. It's not just doing the bare minimum. It's not just doing just what you know would be acceptable. No, it's going above and beyond. So whether that looks like with me writing personal notes to the people that report to me, or whether that looks like me making sure that I go the extra mile of saying a happy birthday to one of my clients, or just doing whatever you got, or staying late
to accomplish a task
that
you have to accomplish in time.
You know, one of my youth ministers told me this, that if you want to be successful, look at what everybody else is doing and do the exact opposite. So one of my first opportunities to be in that type of environment where I'm working along with other people was in my family business where we were detailing cars. And so one of the things that I noticed at a young age is that there were guys that would come in late and they would leave early and they would take long lunches. So I said, well, if I want to do the opposite of what they're doing and I want to be successful, let me put this thing into practice. And so I began to do that. I began to come in early. I began to stay late. And many times I just ate on the job or had a working lunch. And my results were absolutely phenomenal. So excellence really is saying, listen, we're going to go above and beyond the call of duty to make sure that we're just not doing the bare minimum of anything. And that your excellence will literally make way for you. Because your excellence will be noted and it will be missed whenever you're gone to the next assignment. So it's a great thing. So wonderful episode on excellence, wonderful episode on vision, and then that part that he talked about his employee who had cancer and how he said, no, you cannot quit. I'm going to keep you close because you're a part of my household. And tying that back to Abraham and how God blessed all of Abraham's house, all of the people that were assigned to him, and how much more your faithfulness to God, how many more people can be blessed by you being faithful to the things of God? Those people that may not even believe the same thing that you do, but because they're in your sphere of influence and because they've been given to you, how many more people can be blessed, increased, prospered, delivered, and healed based off of your faithfulness to God? Awesome testimony. So listen, this is an awesome thing. I hopefully you're having fun because we're having fun. So listen, let's take a look at the next clip so that we can get more and more into the Kingdom Business Show.
Is that Speed Racer? Is that a Mach 5?
Toy, my man. We're gonna stop at 5. Right? There is no balance. There is only harmony. And I say harmony not from an esoteric kind of thing, but more from an orchestra standpoint. We took the kids recently to the Philharmonics for an experience. And I counted all the different instruments and everything. So there was 14 violins. There's only one tuba. Okay, there's an imbalance of instruments. There's an imbalance of sounds. Okay, the harp compared to the tuba, to the cymbals, to the strings, the size of the instruments, the sound, everything is totally unbalanced.
Yeah.
And yet, when they're put together to the music, they create harmony, an amazing harmony.
Yeah.
And what we get the ability to do is we get to be the ones that write our own song. We get to
Man, Evan Money, number one, last name Money, didn't grow up with any, like, wow. But just to see what God has done in his life is awesome too. So he talked about forgiveness. Now tell us about forgiveness. Let's talk about forgiveness a little bit.
Well, forgiveness is vital, if I could say this. It's vital in your development in doing anything successful for God. Because like I've seen people that where they're stuck in that era. So for instance, you'll see somebody who maybe they had somebody mistreat them 20 years ago. They've gone through some hardships 20, 25, 30 years ago. And sometimes you'll see a 40-year-old who's still stuck as a 15 or a 20-year-old. And they're still acting as that person who had the offense. They never grew past that phase in their life.
Because you know what happens with forgiveness or unforgiveness is that it keeps you stuck in one area of your life and you never go past it. Yeah, time goes on, you get older, you have different experiences. However, your emotions are still stuck in that place back 10, 15, 20 years ago. And maybe not be years ago, maybe it was last week somebody who did something to you. And so when I tell people to forgive, it's not necessarily just a gift for somebody else. It's a gift for you.
It's for you.
It's for you. And you have to forgive because forgiveness will indicate how much forgiveness you can receive from God.
Exactly.
I tell people this, listen, nobody is worth me receiving forgiveness from God, all right? So the Bible tells us that if we don't forgive, God can't forgive us. That's a hefty, hefty thing.
And not just that, it's almost like unforgiveness becomes a filter, like a dirty filter. So a lot of times what happens is when there are new and wonderful opportunities and relationships on the horizon that are coming your way, you start filtering through that dirty filter and you start to see everybody looks like the person in the past.
That's right.
So there are opportunities that we're missing. There, you know, like all these open doors that we're missing because we're perceiving things through a dirty filter.
Man, and you remember that time that we were in Houston pretty much, and we were on our way to California, and we got that word, and this one word totally liberated me. There was something that happened in my life that was kind of holding me in one holding pattern, and this guy told me that the key to a limitless life, brother, and the pill and the vitamin that you need to take in this season is the vitamin labeled forgiveness. He said forgiveness. Forget about what happened to you. Forget about what you did. Forget about if that decision that you made led to the rift of the relationship. Forget about it, because we spend too much of our lives looking behind when God wants to move us forward. He says, so you need to take the pill of forgiveness and the vitamin labeled forgiveness. That therefore you will be unstoppable after that. Forgive others, forgive yourself, and move forward. And so forgiveness is key. And we saw that whenever he forgave his father, man, his monetary life, his parenting life, his marriage life went to a whole nother level.
His health
went to the next level too. And so it's the same thing in all of our lives, in your life that you're reaching. Maybe there's somebody that you need to forgive. What we want you to do right now, we're going to take a little break. Pull out a piece of paper real quick and jot down those people. See, because I know you're already thinking of some people that have probably offended you. Write those people's names down on a piece of paper. Write them all down. Write the organization down. Write every occurrence down. And then this is what I want you to do. I want you to look at that, and I will tell that paper, those things that you've been holding in your heart, you will never be in me. You will never hold me hostage again. Rip it up, throw it away, burn it, flush down the toilet, whatever, so that you will never see it again, and move forward. It's awesome. So listen, let's go into our next episode. Our next episode is really, really strategic. So you got to take a look at this. All right. So you're telling me about the despair, the new equation that you have. So please.
It's not new. It's a principle of old that many people are asking the question, why suicide? Why are wealthy people committing suicide and doing these horrible things to themselves when they appear to have so much? But we forget that our despair, I gave an equation, D equals S minus M. Despair is a result of suffering without meaning. S minus M. Suffering without meaning equals despair. We live in a world of suffering. At my age of 72, to get out of bed, I fight gravity, the gravity that would suffer to keep me under.
Yes.
And so to live is to suffer, but to survive is to find meaning in one's suffering.
Yes.
And so in that sense of despair is that when we're going through life and we're going through life suffering, whatever they may be, and it's for no meaning. We don't understand why. We begin to be victimized, as you begin to share. I'm just a victim. Everybody's doing stuff to me, and I'm just a dumping post. And I, me, my, and all of those suffering. It's suffering without meaning. And when you suffer without meaning, that meaning is one of the greatest reasons for living. People get up in the morning to find meaning in living. And to now go through pain and suffering without meaning is despair, which is the beginning point, the tipping point for suicide and brokenness and depression. And so in everything, we want to understand that we are to be abased and we're to be abound. But in all of what we go through in life is to have the meaning that we're giving glory to God, that we're giving it as unto the Lord. Whatever we go through, turning the other cheek, whatever we go through, our purpose is to find the meaning that is for something greater than the suffering, that I might now endure my suffering.
Coach Al Hollingsworth. That's all you got to say. I mean, if you say his name, my goodness, that was an amazing, rich, full episode that we just witnessed. And so he went over an amazing equation, which is suffering minus meaning equals despair. That equation is just ridiculous. So he said suffering, the things that we go through on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. You may be suffering from depression, or you may be suffering from lost relationship, or suffering from loneliness, or suffering, a bad situation that has happened in your life. And if you don't attach a meaning to it, if you don't have a meaning to it, it leads to despair. And so if we put it in bodybuilding terms, because me, I feel like I'm a bodybuilder now. I've been in the gym pushing the weight and all that stuff. But if I put meaning to my suffering, the pushing of the weight, the doing of the squats, the sweating on the treadmill, all of those different things, I can find victory rather than despair. And so just so many people needed this equation. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, like for instance, there was a part in the show where he talked about the jobs, the different kind of jobs that he had, and how he hated each and every job. But when it came to the end of it, when it culminated, it's almost like it prepared him for all the great things that he did in the future, for his actual purpose. And so sometimes there are different things that we experience that will actually add value to our purpose in the end.
Yeah. If I was to think about my own personal life and all of the occurrences that I've been through and how it led me to be at this place and operate at a place of authority, everything, the Bible tells us all things work together for the good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. And so if I was to look back at my first job per se, which was in the family business of detailing cars, it taught me to detail with my eyes and not with my hands, not just to wash, but actually to look under the nooks and the crevices and all of those different things to go to the next level of the call of duty rather than just doing the status quo. Number 2 was being a paper boy. I remember rolling papers at 12 midnight with a good friend of our family, and we had to go all the way across Houston to really throw these papers. And so that taught me the efforts of the team. It taught me how to really be able to be intentional. It also taught me how to talk to people who were older than me. And Timothy, Paul encourages Timothy, listen, don't be despised because of your youth. And so I had to take that into consideration, that I was going to be dealing with people who were maybe times 10, 15, 30 years older than me, but yet I couldn't let that intimidate me. And then there's so many occurrences. And so those things that we're going through right now, find a meaning in it. Yes. Those things that you're going through, the things that the boss that maybe talks to you talks down to you, or maybe, you know, the person that may not, you know, relate to you on a certain level, or maybe the current, maybe you're in a job, maybe you're in a situation where you really feel like, you know, this has no meaning, has no purpose assigned to it. Find meaning in it, because I guarantee you that meaning is going to lead you to victory.
Yes.
And so awesome. So man, I'm having fun. Are you having fun?
Yes.
I'm having a good time. Boom. You know, we're making this thing happen, right? And so we're excited. So listen, let's take a look at the next episode, because I guarantee you this one right here will change the whole fabric of what we were talking about and what we've been thinking about this whole entire time.
Going through life, there are struggles. There's things that we go through. And so you pretty much just came out of probably one of the darkest seasons of your life. And
I did, yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it was actually a little over a year ago. Definitely the darkest moment of my life. I went through a divorce, and it was very tough.
Mm-hmm. How many years were you married?
Married almost 5 years.
Okay.
And so when it happened, you know, I was devastated. I did not expect it. I really didn't see that coming, because I just didn't think that would happen. You know, you have this vision in your head of what marriage should be, and you know what your life is gonna be, and it doesn't happen. And then it's like, what do you do at that moment?
Yeah.
It was a dark time, and I think back to actually one of Walt Disney's quotes.
Mm-hmm.
He would always say, "Keep moving forward."
Yes.
Like, we have to keep moving forward.
My buddy Nick, oh my goodness.
OMG.
We go way back. And so I don't know if we have the clip of us stepping back in the day, but man, it was awesome. We used to step together, we used to go to the same church. It was great. It was great connecting with him. He's a great friend and a great guy. So the conversation that we had was talking about the darkest season that he's ever went through in his own life. Here he was, you know, with great hopes and with great dreams of marrying the woman of his dreams, and those things got shattered, and he actually got a divorce. And so, you know, that right there is magnanimous when it comes down to purpose and the dreams that you have for your life. And so he went through this dark season where he had a decision to make. He could actually let that season engulf him, or he could do something about it. And so I love when he talked about his 52 weeks. He said, listen, I'm just gonna do something each week that I love to get me out of this place of darkness, you know? And so I think that's very key.
Yeah, so it's almost like he used the things that he was passionate about, and he tapped into that to help him to overcome the dark season that he was in.
You know, and all of us have to make a decision in the dark seasons of our life. Whether we're going to allow that thing to define us, or if we're going to break down, or if we're going to break through. And I really believe that we have a decision to make to break through, because on the other side of this darkness is a place of light. It's a place of fulfillment. It's a place of destiny. It's a place of just great opportunities if we would just push through the dark season. And so, you know, we want to ask you that, what does your 52 weeks look like? You know, what is it something that you can dig into that gets you out of this place of discouragement or despair or, you know, low self-esteem? What is it something that you love that you can tap into that can literally give you life and bring life to others around him? Because we saw that after he went through this whole 52 weeks, people started noticing things that he was doing. I mean, he got a full sheet for a movie premiere. He, you know, got notoriety for something that he did for Lupita. I mean, just all of these great opportunities. Who's to know what opportunity is awaiting you when you go through this valley of the shadow of death, right? On the other side is a great reward. So push through.
And then also, I was going to say, on top of that, it's almost like a wilderness. We all go through times and seasons of wilderness, but we have to try to extract from it. God, what are you trying to teach me in this time of wilderness? What is it about me? Because sometimes there are things in us that need to die so that God can be exalted. So at this time, actually, like, search your heart and say, okay, God, what is it that's on the inside of me that would withhold me or keep me back from walking into the great things that you have for me?
You know, because we're about to walk into a brand new year, a year that we never, ever experienced before. And so wouldn't it be great to leave all the junk, all the unforgiveness, all of the darkness, all the baggage and the stuff in 2014 and walk clear into a new year, noting that God is with you, on your side, he's there for you and surrounding you with loving favor and kindness all the days of your life. I think that it's a great thing to do. So, hey, drop the baggage. Let's move forward, right? And so, wow, we've had such an amazing time together.
Yes.
You know, such an amazing.
It's coming to an end.
It is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. You know, but you know what I'm saying.
Enjoy myself.
I mean, you know, we still can go. You know what I'm saying. But you know, they gotta go because it's only 30 minutes. But it's all good. But listen, we're excited about the next episode in the next season of Kingdom Business Show. You don't want to miss out on anything that we have for the rest of this season. So make sure that you like us on Facebook. Make sure that you tune in and follow us on all of our social medias, and then also make sure that you make OCN Broadcasting a part of your favorites that's in your Google Chrome or your I was gonna say your Instagram, but your Internet Explorer or whatever avenue that you're using to watch this show. Make sure that this is a part of your daily operations. There's other great shows on OCN Broadcasting, not just ours. I mean, but it's not just ours, you know. So watch other shows, but make sure that you tune in every Sunday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tune in, let everybody know that the Kingdom Business Show is the show to watch in this season, and I guarantee you your life is going to be blessed.
What about Eastern Standard Time? What time is it for them?
Eastern Standard Time.
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock, yeah, so late birds.
What about Central Standard Time?
Central Standard Time is 9 p.m., right? So all you late birds and all this stuff, hey, make sure that you watch it. We're excited. This is my wonderful wife, my Jamaican sensation. Did she do a good job? Give her a hand clap on that. Very, very good job. So until next time, you know where to find us, OCNBroadcasting.com, every single Sunday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Until next time, listen, Merry Christmas
and Happy New Year.
This
is Kingdom Business.
You got it. We'll see you soon. All right.
1, 2, 3.
From our family. Here we go. From our family to yours.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3. From our family to yours.
Merry Christmas.